Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm out here in my cold garage tonight. I was just finishing up a range report on this Bursa Thunder 380, which I think I mentioned to you guys before, really surprised me. Today was a very productive day here at the Texas Gun Vault. I got a couple of range reports done, went to the range, I was updating a lot of my thumbnails. I've talked about some of my thumbnails in the past that were borrowed from the old channel, and they didn't really translate over well, and some of them definitely needed to be updated. So I'm kind of going through some of my older videos and creating new thumbnails. Some of them look way better, way happier with them. But I've been super productive, as I said. But speaking of going to the range, something very interesting happened to me, and I want to ask you guys a question on what you would have done. So, as you could probably have already seen from the title of this video, I was at the range. Now, I was kind of in an after-hour situation. You guys know I have 24-hour biometric access to my range. So I can go there at any time. And many times I try to go at hours when no one else is there. And at my range, as I'm sure you figured out based off of like the machine gun stuff that I've shown, and maybe you guys have seen some of the other stuff that I have reviewed, people that go to my range bring expensive stuff, rare stuff, and highly regulated things. And when I was there by myself, I got everything set up so I was going to film some range report footage. It was just me. My wife wasn't with me. So I just brought the tripod, and I'm sitting there. I set everything up, and below the shooting table where I usually shoot in each one of the stalls, there's a little tube that you can put your targets in. I mean, we have targets in the back that you can get out of the drawers. You can roll them up and put them in those, and that saves me time from having to go back to the drawers when I need to change targets, because I do so much of that for each portion of the test. And so I'm getting everything set up, guns are on the table, and so I go get my targets, put one up, and I roll up the rest of them, and I'm getting ready to put it into that tube to hold it, and I saw something really interesting in there, and I had to think for a second what I was going to do, because I was assuming I had found something that was highly regulated, and I'm very familiar with the laws regarding these things. So let me show you what I found. I'm going to kind of hold it up here, and you guys should probably recognize what that looks like. That looks just like a Surefire can, doesn't it? A Surefire suppressor. That is their quick detach system. And I saw this sitting in that tube like that. And I couldn't see how far it was or how long it was. I was like, I know exactly what that is. I was like, that is definitely a Surefire, what I thought was going to be a suppressor, because that is definitely their little quick detach thing. So I was like, okay, somebody brought their silencer or one of their silencers to the range, put it in that tube, and left it by accident. So I had to think to myself, it was after hours. So obviously, I want to make sure that if somebody had left their silencer, I want to make sure they get it back, or they get it back like as soon as possible, because they got to be panicking if they haven't figured it out yet. But on the other hand, I definitely don't want it to get into the hands of somebody that shouldn't have it. Now, I can't go to like the front desk of the range because it's closed. It's after hours. So it was sitting there, and I was like, okay, before I touch it, I got to decide what I'm going to do. If I leave it there, assuming they're going to realize where they left it, they'll come back and get it. But what if somebody else comes to the range, and there's people of all experience levels and knowledge levels that come to the range where I shoot? I'm like, okay, so what if it is a silencer, and somebody that doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't understand the laws regulating them just goes, oh, somebody left this, and takes it? Well, they could get in a lot of trouble in the future. But then I'm thinking about myself, thinking, okay, well, I have nobody to give it to. Like, I can't give it to the range, and I don't know whose it is. So should I take it? And then, of course, try to find its owner, because I'm a member of like these Facebook groups of the range, and then call the range the next day and tell them what I have, drop it off. But then if I take it, I'm in the temporary possession of an item that's an NFA regulated item that's not registered to me, which is of course illegal. So I'm sitting there, I have a dilemma. Do I, take it for safekeeping, find its owner, return it to the range first thing in the morning, or do I leave it? And I don't know what I was going to do if that was the case, but I decided to take a look at it and see what can it was. And it turned out it wasn't a silencer at all. It was actually I guess it's called the Warden, but it is made by Surefire. Essentially, this is like a muzzle device. So it looks kind of like a very short silencer, but it's empty. So it's more like a flash hider, muzzle blast deflector. It's what it is. But I had to think about that. What was I going to do in that situation? And I think what I probably would have done is take it and then find its owner and return it to the range the next day and post in the groups for the VIP lanes at my range, because there's an individual Facebook group, as I said, about that, and be like, hey, who left this? And I wouldn't have made like a big deal about it. But I also kind of feel like in that situation, it's better to have the item under control of somebody that knows what the law is than to have it potentially get into the hands of somebody that doesn't. And they get in trouble down the line. So that's what I thought I was going to have to do. But luckily, I did not have to make that choice. But I did find this. And so I've contacted some people like, hey, did anybody leave this at the range? I have it. Contact me. I'll get it to you. And so hopefully they'll respond. And I'm going to the range probably tomorrow. So I'll probably take it there, drop it off in their lost and found. And hopefully somebody can find it if they lost it. But luckily it was not a silencer. And these things aren't like that super expensive or anything. But in case someone's missing it, and they have a Surefire muzzle brake or flash hider or whatever, and they left this, they can get it back. So, yeah, I did clean it up for them, by the way, because that's just the way that I am. You guys know whenever I borrow guns for the channel, I always return them in better condition than what I get them in. And so this thing was kind of dirty. This thing has seen some action. So I was like, you know what? Before I get it back to the guy or gal, I don't know who owns it, I'm going to clean it up for him. So I kind of retouched up some of the spots where it had obviously been dropped. I cleaned out the inside. Kind of looks new. I don't know if that's going to show you there. See if I can get out of the way. But anyway, it's all shiny inside. So it's kind of like new. So if they get it back, and when they get it back, they'll be like, oh, it's like brand new. So yeah, just the way that I am. I like to help other people. So anyway, what would you guys do in that situation? Would you have taken it to, for safekeeping, found its owner, or would you have left it because you're so scared about being caught in possession of a NFA regulated item? And I also assume that somebody, a law enforcement officer, if for some reason I was stopped or whatever, and I would have to say that a reasonable officer would have said, you know what, because you're trying to find the rightful owner and you didn't want it to be out there in the hands of somebody who might not understand what it is and the laws regulating it, I'd have a little bit of leniency. But I seriously doubt, because I have never been asked for a tax stamp. I have never had any issues with it. And I see people with machine guns. I see people with silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns all the time. And nobody I know has ever been stopped by an ATF officer. No one's ever been asked for a tax stamp. Not saying it doesn't happen or it can't happen. But I was like, if it is somebody's really nice can, I got to make sure they get it back. But what would you guys have done? So tell me in the comment section below. Would you have taken it for safekeeping? Or would you have left it? Or something else? So tell me what you guys think and what you would have done, because that is a really interesting question. So that's about all I have for you tonight. And I definitely got to buy a space heater for this garage. I always use this little space heater out here. It's one that goes on the top, but when it starts to get cold, it's not powerful enough. And I got to get like one of those bigger ones for the floor. So I'll probably end up going somewhere tomorrow and doing that, because winter is coming. I know it's after Christmas now, but around here, our coldest months are January, February. So it's probably going to get cold. And of course, it gets really hot here in the garage. So whenever we move in the next couple of years, I definitely got to get a place that has, in the garage or workspace, cooling and heating. I got to get that. So anyway, let me know, and I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think about these Surefire Wardens? Actually, it looks like a cool little muzzle device, So maybe in my next build, I'll buy a Surefire flash hider or muzzle brake and get one of these, and then maybe even get a Surefire can. So, yeah, kind of interesting. Cleaned it up, took it apart for him, put it all back together, and it is as new as I can make it for him. So hopefully I can find its owner tomorrow or sooner. So let me know what you guys think. So, as always, thanks for watching.